Well, hello, golfers. Chris here, and this is The Game. The goal of this podcast is to help you lower your score in the shortest amount of time possible without spending a fortune on lessons, clubs, or gimmicks. Our aim is to help you improve your mind, body, and skill so you can become a single-digit handicapper. And we want you to be able to do it all on your own, teaching yourself the game. Hey, Chris here with the Golf Aggressive Podcast, aka The Game. I am here with Rich Guzzo, our tamed golf pro, and he's been showing me a collection of baby shoes that he has had since you were probably about 1 year old when you started walking. Why don't you show us a few of those? And do you have plans on getting these bronzed?
We got the wings tips. We got the dry joys.
So these all look the same to me. What's the difference?
We got the Cadillac shoe bag with the Icon blacks.
No, what is the difference between all of these?
Not really much, but I mean, the Icon blacks are new for me, and
so you could go to dinner with Donald Trump. Go and create a business meeting. Although he's going to be like, dude, really? White shoes? Come on, man. Those went out of style a long time ago. I think you should try these.
No.
These are the Minimus from New Balance, and these are a little dirty because I was out in the mud. Dude, these are so light. And, the thing is, Rich, about your golf shoes, I'm going to issue a challenge to you. I think you should go out and play 36 holes wearing your baby shoes, and then play 36 holes wearing the Minimus. And then I want you to report back truthfully. Has to be the truth. Can't bullshit us here.
Well, a game that you look down.
What do you feel better on the 36 hole with?
A game that you look down 95% of the time. I mean, you want to like what you look at, and
so you're more into the fashion and performance.
Well, for me, I mean, I'm comfortable, and I like looking at white FootJoy, either the dry joy Icons or Icon blacks.
But those weigh like 5 pounds each.
They really aren't that heavy. Those Icon blacks are probably the lightest ones I've ever had.
What color socks do you wear with those? White or black?
White. Occasionally black. These Icons came with black laces. I switched them out, so I could go with
all I'm hearing here and seeing is Judge Schmales.
Hey, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
All right.
I actually wish they bought the leather soles back, but I'm okay with these. I mean, these have really.
You could probably go down and buy some Buster Browns or whatever they're called.
I saw Justin in. I saw those Justin cowboy boots had I don't think they really do it anymore, but they had a golf shoe line where you could get custom leather, basically like the old FootJoy classics that were all leather upper and leather sole. And so no, they're pretty sweet.
Well, I mean, cowboy boots, once you get them broken in, there's really nothing more comfortable than those. And in fact, in high school, this guy, Jeff Yielding, that I used to play golf with all the time, had a pair of red cowboy boots. And guess what? He would play golf in them. We went to Tulsa one time, and we walked 18 holes, and he wore his cowboy boots. And the head pro got really angry because he thought he was trotting all over the green, messing them up. But
hey, do you see this light behind me? Like, I mean, it's a little window in my office here, and I mean, normally
shining down on you.
I know, but normally I would really, be concerned about that with the video. But we've had so much rain here in Texas and even Oklahoma, where you're at, that I don't really care. I'm so happy to see the sun.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I'm happy to see it too, and I'm happy that it's finally above 90 degrees every day. That's actually
you guys will go up in Oklahoma. You guys will go from flooding in May to in a couple of months have a drought. It's typically what happens, right?
Well, it's about to get really hot, so it's kind of miserable right now because of all the humidity. But once that burns off, it'll be all right. So today's podcast, we want to talk about putting. Rich, why don't you kind of outline this podcast today and tell everybody what we're going to discuss?
Yeah, I wanted to spotlight. I mean, we've talked in the past about tracking putts as like a statistic to kind of evaluate where you're at and what to improve on and just kind of see a progress report. But just the putting, like how many putts made per round, doesn't give you valuable data to transition into your practice. So what you should be working on. So we have the putting challenge, and we have an assessment that's built into the putting challenge that really kind of assesses your game. And it's whether it's from a 5 and 10 foot range, and then your lag putting, because those two really are the most key components of putting. So I want to take it another step further today in this podcast.
Let's step back a little bit and let's clarify. So what we're about to release is what we call the No More Three Putts Challenge. And it's really about improving your lag putting and then becoming an assassin from 15, 10 feet and in. And we're about to launch that. So the assessment Rich is talking about is part of this. However, we encourage you to go out and do this test on your own and report back to the Facebook page and let us know, or shoot us an email and give us your score. So there's a few components to that, but I'm going to let Rich go ahead and finish. I just wanted to kind of frame, the challenge that we have coming up, and then how you can apply this even if you don't participate in the challenge to your own game. So Rich?
Yeah, so in the actual no More Three Putts Challenge, the assessment is 10 putts from 5 feet, 10 putts from 10 feet, and then track your progress over a 6-week period, how many putts you make.
Don't forget the game you invented.
Right. So the drawback game is also added into there to kind of assess your lag putting and distance control. So you will play 18 holes on a putting green. And so, for example, this is your hole, you're putting at the hole. Your goal is to get it within a club radius behind the hole. Anything short of the hole, anything past the club, you pull it back a putter and proceed to putt out. If you're short again or past the club face, a club length on the other side, you do it again. So it's an ongoing process. Goal is to play 18 holes. You'll find that if you can have even par, and we're talking anywhere from like 15 to 30 feet on these putts. I think
because we've had people in the past who have really, I've questioned if they were really challenging themselves. Now, a side benefit to this drawback game is not only are you going to find out where you are and that you've improved appreciably, you're going to learn how to play under pressure, because you do this one time. There's no warm-up drawback game. When you go out and you do this test during the challenge, it's one time. So you might warm up just like you're going to do for a real game of golf, and then do the drawback challenge.
Yeah, and we advise that you do this. I mean, I've done this a lot in tournament play, where prior to the round, I would play a drawback game just so I can get the speed adjusted. So you'll play 18 holes, and anywhere between 15 and 30 feet. You could probably stretch it out to 40, but that's a tough one. But yeah, so your goal is to play 18 holes, and if you can have even par or better, your lag putting is in great shape. You'll find that starting out, you're probably going to have anywhere between 5 and 6 putts, well, 6 over.
It's really hard to have an even score. If you can finish 9 or 18 holes at even, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So
let's go back over. Okay, so what we want you to do is we want you to go out to the golf course. We want you to assess yourself. You're going to do 10 putts from 5 feet, and you're going to keep score. How many did you make? If you missed them, you don't count that. So you made 7, you missed 3, it's 7 out of 10.
Yep, 70%. So
next one up is 10 footers. Same exact thing. You're going to do these from the same exact spots, because what we're doing here from 10 feet and in, we don't really care about speed. That's pretty easy to gauge the speed on these. What we're doing is checking our putting stroke. So if we have a bad putting stroke, when we get to 10 feet, we might be making 1 or 2 putts, but Then notate which side are you missing on the most. So then you take it from there and you play the drawback game. So Rich, explain the drawback game rules again for us, so they can keep score on this.
Yeah, 18 holes, 15 to 30 feet, make it random. So if you've got 6 holes, just kind of change it around and just go around the course. Like basically you're mapping 18 holes on the putting green. And yeah, so anything short, you bring it back a putter, putt it out. Anything past a putter radius, because the zone is a putter radius. 90 to 95%.
Now the putter radius is all the way around the hole?
No, anything from the hole behind. So if anything's short, that's when you bring it back, because the goal is to get it to the hole within the zone, your gimme zone. So
yeah, absolutely. And on this topic, I was watching Ian Poulter was playing a golf with Holly Saunders, which is really the only reason I was watching it. But they were just playing around, and he came really close. I mean, he was like this far from making a putt, but it was short, and he was furious with himself. And she's like, "Hey, that was a pretty good putt. Why are you so angry?" And he goes, "It never had a chance."
Yeah. Yeah, so that's why this drawback game, it really emphasizes getting it past the hole, but in the gimme zone. Anything past that club radius, pull it back another putter and then putt it in, and then you play 18 holes. So that will be the challenge for this week. You want to basically assess where you're at now, and then every 2 or 3 weeks, reassess it and see where you're at.
Yeah, and Adam Scott, he's kind of at a disadvantage in this game.
Oh, here we go again. It's Rich, legal.
Rich, what the hell is he doing?
Hey, I'm okay with it.
It's legal. Hey, it's legal, but it's not going to be legal. Yeah. What is he doing?
Yeah.
I mean, is he that bad of a putter?
No, he's actually a good putter. It's just
the golf swing's amazing. I mean, I can't think of anybody mechanically that's better than him.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a couple of years for these guys to transition and be fully comfortable with the short putter. And you're going to have some guys. I'm still curious to see how some guys handle the transition, because you've got a good portion of them that are using these putters purely because they make more putts. You got another small percentage that are using them because of physical capabilities. Like I think it's Tim Clark. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how he makes that transition, because he physically can't practice too much over the ball. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting time.
But my question to you is, I've seen you change putter lengths, styles of putters, and your putting is pretty similar. There's not a whole lot of difference to it. And Adam Scott arguably has better hand-eye coordination and a lot more time than you do. What's the problem? Why is it like a mental thing? What's going on?
I think it's a confidence deal. And that's the thing. I mean, he's felt so comfortable with the long putter that now he has to give that up and go to a shorter putter. And that's why we do these challenges, and to build confidence, because that's a big thing. If I can step over a 10-foot putt with confidence, the chances are I'm going to have a better stroke on it. When I'm tentative or I don't know the line and I basically just kind of half-ass it. And so,
yeah, that's where
it comes back to confidence. They're going to go through a period where they're just not going to have any. And right now they're in that phase where I can go back to the long putter. It's still legal. And that's what we're finding with a lot of these guys. So
I don't think they should. I think they should just like throw that thing in the trash and be like, it's not legal anymore. It's not legal today.
It's still legal,
even though it is. But
you think that
what is he trying to do? Just make as much money as he can because he knows he's going to go in the shit can in 6 months? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
here's the deal to you as an Australian. He is a hero. He is a legend now. He won the Masters. But should there be an asterisk?
Hell no. No.
Kind of like Mark McGuire's home run record.
Okay, so
he's all juiced up.
Yeah,
and
but we're taking
Roger Maris was like just a regular cat, and he was just like silky smooth swing. Hey, I'm hitting 60 home runs.
That same
Mark
principle
comes in.
Looking at, you got square grooves. Square grooves are now illegal. So do you want to wipe out or put an asterisk on every single win? I think Jack may have had square grooves on his clubs. I don't know. Back then, everyone had square grooves.
I think we should go back to those.
Just wipe out records. I mean, baseball should do it with the doping stuff. So
they tore up golf clubs or golf balls.
Well, it didn't take much to tear up a balata.
The Royal and Ancient guys were out. The rule makers were out playing golf one day, and they were like, "Man, I went through like 24 balls today. We got to do something about this. Let's make the grooves not as deep and, easier on the ball."
I'm curious. I really haven't hit a square groove iron on a Pro V, so I don't know. Because I mean, a balata, you could spin it with no grooves, basically.
Look at these new Vokey, whatever they are, 5s, and
they'll tear a cover off a Pro V.
The range balls, there's like, I'm cleaning little chunks of range ball out of those suckers. Yeah. So, I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah. No,
instead of having a groove do it, they have like a little.
I've noticed that with the Vokeys. I don't know the difference between those and, say, Cleveland's, but I have noticed the Vokeys will. I don't know if it's a different. I really don't know. I've noticed that they will tear a ball.
I don't know the technology either.
Yeah. But, so with putting, I want to add in a few other details with this. I mean, I've talked about what our challenge is.
Yeah, we need to talk about stats.
Well, yeah, and that's really what I wanted to focus on too today. We're giving a basic outline to kind of assess a player on the putting green, and then progress over a certain period of time to kind of see where they're at.
Yeah, and so we need that baseline. So if they can go out and do this first,
yeah, and so yeah, this is a good behind the scene kind of assess where you're at, but. During your round, how do you assess your putting and whether or not it is your putting that you need to be working on? Because that's the bottom line. Because you can, and I've talked about this and I mentioned it earlier, you can track your putts made. It's a good, I mean, I have fun doing it myself, but I know ultimately if I'm trying to work on or, address certain issues with my putting, it's not the exact data that I need for my practice. So a couple of things I like to look at are greening regulations, and I'll touch on that in a bit, number of chips made, and two things on the putting green are the distance on my first putt. And so this is going to be, I mean, something that you'll need to track over, say, 5 to 10 rounds. And it might be a little bit more intense. It might be something that you can either do on the scorecard right away.
I think they should also do distance on my second putt. Let's say you missed that first putt.
Well, that's where the other putt would be the distance on the putt made, which typically is your second putt, really. So that those two, the distance on your first putt and the distance on the putt made. So if you're playing a golf course that you can basically recall every single shot that you've done, you can do this after your round. If you're playing a course that you may not remember too well, you might want to write this data down on a scorecard and try not to get too involved in it because you don't want it to affect your actual game. But it is information that we can take to the range. We can say, okay, my greening regulations are, say, 10 out of 18. Not bad. So I've got eight holes where I need to get chips, but I've had 10 chips. So right there,
might be like a really good chipper, but a bad putter.
Yeah. So this one right here showcases that, my chipping might need some work. I've had one or too many multiple chips on a hole. My first putt distance is 15 feet. Right there tells me that one, my chipping needs a little bit more work because I'm leaving them to 15 feet. But then my putts made distance is 2 feet. We're talking, this is the highest percentage. You might find there's going to be a range. It might be it could be 15 feet, could go down, down for 20 feet, and it could go in between for 7 or 8. So I'm talking like the highest percentages that you're going to look at. So this could show you that your lag putting is actually pretty good if you're your make putt is around 2 feet. So then you could take that data and say, okay, I need to work a bit more on my chipping because it's ultimately not always my putting. And then I need to work on maybe a few more alignment confidence issues with the 15-foot range, because that's where I'm having my first look. Lag's not a huge concern because we know that we're getting it around the hole pretty close on my make percentage. So it's evaluating all this. And now it could be, we could switch it up, and it could be, let me see, I've hit 15 greens.
I don't think even greens in regulation really, to me, counts, because when you're evaluating your putting, what does that matter?
Well, it's a component of it. So if I've hit one green,
yeah, but my point is that's an iron problem if you're not hitting greens.
Right, and that also allows you to go back and say, okay, green regulations. If I'm hitting 2 greens, then okay, yeah, I need to be working on my iron play a little bit more than my putting. Yeah. So that's why I've put this in there. It's to assess your game. So using statistics so that I can spend more quality time on the practice range.
Well, let me ask you this. So some people might be getting confused listening to this. Is there some kind of a sheet that you could create to where they could go after the round when they're in the men's grill celebrating after they've won and they're having their beer?
Yeah, I'll have one up.
Go through. Can you make something like that for everybody so they can start getting these assessments?
Yeah, and we'll keep it real simple. So basically, it's going to be 18 holes. I'm going to put your first putt distance. So I'm going to break it down. It could be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So basically, just put a check mark. And then you'll run some tallies after you've got some data in there. So after 5, 10 rounds, you can get a fairly good assessment on where you're at. And then your distance on your putt made. So, yeah. I mean, it could be very general because,
I was going to bring this up because a lot of these new watches and trackers and things like that, they have very basic stat collection, but I don't think it's incredibly useful.
Yeah, and I think bringing up, let's say, like the Apple iWatch, there's going to be some issues with that on the golf course because you can start getting text messages on your watch. So what's to say that some guys won't have coaches or just outside influencers start messaging players on their watch and be like, okay, everyone's leaving this hole short, so get it past the hole. So there's going to be some implications.
I don't know what the rules are on that, but my point is like these devices, they'll track, okay, which I think is super important, your yardages. Some of them will do that now. And you got to know your yardages, guys. You just need to get that out of the way. But I mean, like what I'm saying is like fairways in regulation, greens in regulation. That's pretty easy, basic stuff. But what we're suggesting here is you take this a step further because we're going to pinpoint the low-hanging fruit in our golf game. And if we can improve the worst part of our golf game, just even marginally, we're going to get dramatically better. So if we know we're really good at short putts, well, we don't need to really worry about that. But we are leaving ourselves 7-footers, 5-footers, which under pressure are pretty hard to make, especially if it's not a flat putt. So, Rich, you said we will create like a little tracking thing that they can use to kind of pinpoint these things.
Yeah, and the thing about this is this, even if we just dive into this next level of statistics, what it does is, one, identify, because a lot of people aren't able to identify what areas they need to work on. And so they're on the range or on the putting green or the chipping clock, and they're working on stuff that yes, you need to kind of just continue the motions with that aspect of your game, but it's probably not your focal point. So the stats will allow you to.
Yeah, we're not saying like give up your chip practice. We're saying what we're doing here is we're
spending
going
better
after
quality time. That's the
yeah,
the quality focus on the practice,
we're
because
going
we
after
know.
the weakest part of the game first.
Yeah. Yeah, because we know everyone's time's valuable. So why be a range zombie just smacking balls for no reason when you could be really focusing on 20, 30 minutes of a part of your game that really needs it. And so the stats will highlight or bring to the top of the chart on what you should be focusing on. So if you're just tracking putts, fine, it's a good basis, but it doesn't allow you to say, okay, today's 33 putts was a bad day. It may not have been if you hit 16 greens and
Yeah.
your first putt distance is 15 feet.
But that
That's
data
not,
doesn't even tell you, like, okay, so what were my putt lengths?
yeah. Yeah. So that's why we're
Which
just
is
bringing
what,
it a next step level so that you can identify what areas you really need to be focusing on. And that's why I brought in the greens in reg. If you're hitting a lot of greens and your first putt distance is, 15, 20 feet, one that identifies, you should be spending more time at that distance. But then two, it could be, I'm really not going to be too concerned, because if you're hitting a green, you're better off getting the flat stick on the
yeah.
ball versus chipping. But you could also focus in on maybe narrowing your targets down a little bit more to kind of get that ball closer. So this is just allowing you to use the statistics out there for quality practice. And because, it really won't take much. And so if you identify, okay, this is the area I need to focus on, 15 feet lag putting, then for 15, 20 minutes, a couple of times a week,
Yeah.
I'm going to focus on that. You'll see it dramatically increase.
And we got a lot of drills and stuff for lag putting and stuff. So here's what you guys need to do if you want to improve your putting. First of all, we need to have a baseline of where you are. Rich is going to create a tracking sheet that you can use after every round and start compiling that data. I would say, bare minimum 5, 6 rounds. Heck, you may even know these things, and once you look at it, you might say, hey, yeah, I really suck in this area. And then you'll be able to go out and do it. But beyond the stats, we want you to go out and do a self-assessment on the putting green for a couple of reasons. Number one, is going to help you get better under pressure, which is what we're big about. If you can't take what we teach you to the golf course, anything that we've taught you is completely worthless. I mean, you've wasted your time. So you can sit there and bang balls and hit beautiful fade drives like Rich does. But if you can't do it out on the golf course, it doesn't matter.
That brings up a really good point. We should start a driving range league, because I know there are a lot of guys who are awesome on the driving range.
But you would bring in pressure, and then they would not be able to do it.
Yeah, they can't.
I mean, that's the only thing that changes, isn't it?
Yeah, so the transition is a huge component. So the assessment really allows you, because 1, 5, 10 feet building confidence, and then 2, the lag putting with the drawback game. Those allow you to make that transition easier. So if I'm over a 10-foot putt, I've got confidence because I've been working on it in the assessment. Or if I've got a 30, 40-foot putt, I'm more inclined to hit it past the hole within a club length, because that's what I've been working on.
Well, yeah, and also, if you can't go out and play golf a lot and you can't compile the stats that we're talking about, if you do these 2 or 3 assessments, the 10 balls from 5 feet, 10 balls from 10 feet, and then you play the drawback game, you're going to know your weaknesses. So then you take that information, you're like, okay, I'm really bad at short putts. I don't know what it is. I miss them to the right all the time. I want you to walk your ass into the pro shop and go talk to one of those guys in there. They're called golf professionals. And just say, I want a putting lesson on short putts. Tell them exactly what you want. You don't need to say, hey, I want to take golf lessons and I want you to help me become a great golfer, because then you're just going to get a string of lessons. Could be over any topic. You need to be very specific. Walk in there and just say, I stink at short putts. I want one lesson. And, and then start working on what they give you.
Yeah. You very rarely see someone go get a putting lesson.
Oh, I can't even remember. I could ask Brent because I mean he gives more lessons than anybody I know. But he told me
A lesson solely on putting. I mean, I never see any of the guys at the Hyatt do it. If anything, it gets an afterthought after the range. But yeah, it should be. If that's a concern, if you've highlighted, okay, this is my area that I need to be focusing on, get a lesson just for that.
Yeah, the extra set of eyes, and the guy doesn't need to be like Nick Fallow or Tiger Woods to be able to help fix you and get you on the right path. Probably your issue is set up in alignment, most likely something very basic. But beyond that, Brent has told me many times that golfers don't care about putting. It's boring to them. Hitting a driver 300 yards, which, not a ton of people can do, is a big deal to them. They value that more than putting. But I'm going to say this again. I've said it a bunch. A 4-inch putt is the same amount of strokes as a 350-yard drive. And if you miss that 4-inch putt, you're throwing stuff. I've seen Rich do it.
I don't throw my rife.
I've not seen you throw a putter. I will say that. I've seen you throw wedges and fairway woods. Pretty much for the most part. And a golf bag. You threw a golf bag into a lake once.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
You quit the game. I made that up.
That would be nice. Just drive the whole thing into the lake.
Drive the whole cart in there and be like, done. I'm taking up ping pong. So anyway, guys, get out there, do these assessments, find out where you are weak at in your putting. All the gadgets and gizmos and things that track your stuff out there. They're okay, but they're not going to tell you, how long your putt is, for each putt. And, are you really weak on lag putting, but you're strong on 5 feet and in, 10 feet and in? You need to get this information, and you need to get it in the smallest amount possible so you can kind of pinpoint and get better. It's the low-hanging fruit. You want to go after the worst part, but you don't want to create this big, huge battle plan. Let's just get in there. Okay, lag putting, I stink at it. And get better at it, work at it, take a lesson. So I'm Chris. I'm here with Rich, our tame golf pro, and we hope you enjoyed this podcast on putting. And look on our website, golfaggressive.com. We're going to post up that worksheet that Rich is going to create here in the next few minutes. I've just created extra work for him.
Lovely.
Download that. Give that a download, and then after your round, just pull it out and mark everything down. Rich, can you make that worksheet have maybe 9 rounds on it?
It'll be about 10. So I've always done 10, so that way you get an average and a good average. So if you find that it's going to take you a while to do 10 rounds, and cut it back to 5. But
well, just a sheet where they can have it in their golf bag, and it's not one scorecard. It's like a running total, so they can kind of track everything.
Yeah, and I'll have it ready for them today.
Okay, awesome. So thanks for joining us, and we hope you guys have a good golfing day.
Every time you step on a golf course, there is a silent distance killer that is draining the power from your game. This power drain increases your strokes as it decreases your confidence. Thanks to driverbully.com, there is a proven method that overcomes this power drain and could add up to 100 yards on your long game. Go to driverbully.com today and take the power and distance challenge. See how our simple, proven, proprietary methods have transformed golfers using clubs they already have in their bag. driverbully.com.